Welcome to it. Sunday Live is here with the Average Joe Sports Show. The Iron Horse is Gary Sharp. The Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman in all red. Elijah Herbel, bowler extraordinaire. Well, I don't know what that shirt is, and I'm trying to blind everybody because it's clean. Chris Schmidt with you. And we are gearing up. Football came and went yesterday. How about Iowa State? Kneeling at the 2-yard line with that line at 3 or 3.5. So be it. I think they covered as an underdog anyway, but you get the point.
Yeah, but
fellas, how we doing? Football's back.
The overs got blown out too on the reversal. So
yeah,
I mean Vegas was hopping on week 0, day 1, game 1.
Yeah,
they were.
I also went K-State over 6.5 in the first quarter. Yeah, they scored on the first play of the second quarter. Yeah. Hey, can we? I know. Like people that went over to Dublin probably would never go to Dublin, Ireland, unless Nebraska was playing there. But I think schools need to revisit playing in Dublin because weird things happen. You're playing on a field yesterday where you had no idea where you were at because of the rain and the yard markers are disappearing. I mean, some of the spots were bad. Like there was one play where the side judge got confused by the blocker and he thought that was the ball carrier. And they marked where that blocker had knocked over the Iowa State defender. They marked the ball there. I mean, just weird stuff happened. And look at this. What if Kansas State is out of the playoff picture because of a loss like that, 4,000 miles from home? I don't know. It's probably a great experience, or maybe not because you're in, you play the game and you're out and you don't get to do a lot of sightseeing as players. I don't know, man. That's weird stuff happens in Dublin. Onside kicks, going forward on 4th and 1 from your own 30.
The father of the K-State quarterback fighting his other son, apparently.
Yeah, we have that on the to talk about list here. And
how about that? Hey, Elijah, great point. That's bat blank crazy. Yeah. But I guess they have history. I guess this has happened before.
Just not in Dublin with people filming.
I mean,
and right now people are waking up saying, over in Dublin, all the Irish folks that went and saw K-State, Iowa State said, well, it was a good Donnybrook. Don't mess with Dad or the belt. So,
I agree. For teams like K-State and Iowa State, we talked about it, whether they're in Dublin or in Manhattan or Ames, to have that game, in week 0, which is still stupid. It's week 1. But anyway, that's a playoff game, essentially. Kansas State has to hope that it starts to, get a little momentum and run the table and get into the Big 12. It's a different league championship game to, have another chance at Iowa State. But to play that game right away and have your season somewhat defined already. I mean, you know what you got to do. You can't really lose again, especially in conference play, or you're thinking Orlando at best, in the postseason.
Well, let me ask, do you think that college football fans as a whole are kind of starting to get turned off to the idea of neutral site football games? I'm wondering, because on one hand, it is very cool Nebraska's going and playing in Arrowhead. On the other hand, Schmidt and I, the past week, it has been a pain in our rear ends to make sure we're all technically set up to go do things down from Kansas City. It'd be much easier to do it in Lincoln. There's a lot of fans traveling from Lincoln to Kansas City where you go, man, I could just drive down the street to Memorial Stadium and go to that game. Like, I wonder. I don't think they're probably ever going to go away, but there's just a certain magic of college football that's lost in neutral site football games whenever – you don't really have a home field advantage. I know Nebraska will, but the other schools you don't really, and you're playing in these cathedrals of college football. Like, I don't know. I'm wondering if it's going to be a trend that's going to start going down in the next couple of years.
I think it's going to go the opposite way because you've seen it, right? And it started 40 plus years ago with the Kickoff Classic. You got Penn State v. Nebraska. Nebraska, with the right team, always signed up for a Kickoff Classic when they felt they were loaded for bear. And it led to really good things. 83 88 and 94 for sure, with the three kickoff classics that Nebraska went to. But no, Ireland is a different bear completely, right? And we know Michigan's going to be in Germany next year. It's a chance to brand your
minus Jerome Moore,
right?
But they're going to be in Germany with a running back named Hitter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't get that confused. That could ruin some relations.
Yeah. You may not be invited back ever.
Look, it's smart for Cincinnati, right, to take this game to Arrowhead. I don't know what their seating capacity is, but it would be embarrassing for them if Nebraska overtook, Bearcat Stadium or whatever it's called with, 2/3 Husker fans there, much like Nebraska did at Notre Dame in, what was that, 01. So it's smart. Take the game to Arrowhead. You're going to get a big check out of it. Yeah, you're foregoing a home field advantage. So I think for a school like that, it makes sense. I don't understand some of the, as you mentioned, Elijah, the cathedrals that give up a home game. Because wasn't it last year in week 1 that LSU and USC played in Jerry World or something like that? I would rather see LSU go into the Coliseum, and into that den, or the other way, USC go into Death Valley. And to me, that's the atmosphere that creates, the greatness of college football. And to put it in a sterile environment, yeah, it's sold out, but very corporately, much like a Super Bowl. You only have the richest of the rich coming from both of those schools to fill up the place. So I don't understand why you give up. Why would Nebraska give up a home date? They didn't, but why would Nebraska give up a home game to go to a neutral site?
Yeah.
Let the Cincinnatis do that, and they're going to get a nice check out of it, giving up home field, but don't lose what makes college football special.
Yeah, and Game Dog just brought up, last time Nebraska was at Arrowhead for a regular season game when Oklahoma State, that game was supposed to be in Stillwater. Remember how pissed off the merchants were in Stillwater? Like Eskimo Joe's, the Tumbleweed. Yeah. Like they were livid that they took all of those Nebraska fans out of Stillwater and moved the game to Kansas City, but Oklahoma State got a check. So I want to ask this question. So Nippert Stadium is where Cincinnati plays, and it's kind of a unique venue. It only seats about, I want to say 40,000. The Cincinnati campus is kind of interesting. I've been there a couple of times. I have a friend whose daughter goes to Xavier, but he went to Cincinnati, and it's kind of an older campus, but it's kind of unique. And the football stadium is kind of like just plopped into the middle of the campus, but it's not very big. Did they ever? And you remember, this is the COVID series. Like Nebraska and Cincinnati were supposed to play in 2020. Did they ever think about going to Paul Brown Stadium where the Bengals play? Or was it, let's get it out of Cincinnati, let's go to Lucas Oil, and then the next thing you know, Nebraska and the Chiefs get involved and it ends up at Arrowhead? Did they ever think about Paul Brown Stadium and keeping the game in Cincinnati?
Here's what my thinking is for Cincinnati. We're not a playoff team anymore. Luke Fickell's gone. How can we make the most money and not completely be overrun by red? And if we are, so be it. At least we're making 75% of the gate. And they would have done so at home anyway, but it would have been bad optically where your home stadium's overrun. So let's go to a neutral site. That got negotiated. It would have been better for Cincy fans to be in Indy, because that's where it was first supposed to be, and then it got shifted to Kansas City with some magic done by the Nebraska front office. So I just think Cincinnati looked at it, said, all right, how can we get the most bang for our buck with this, with the program in a different spot in a new league compared to when this thing was supposed to be played in the COVID era.
Yeah. Bill, and this is because you're familiar with Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Do you guys recall the last time Nebraska played Southern Miss? Part of the Southern Miss schedule, the game was supposed to be in Hattiesburg again. Nebraska went down there and played in 2000? I think it was
2003.
So it was a unique place. I mean, I was doing the sidelines at the time, and I remember, Southern Miss has the most Miss America winners of any college in America. And it was It was a smaller stadium, but it was very unique. And I learned a lot of language by the students that were sitting behind the Nebraska bench. Things they called Danville Waldrop. I were like, wow, I'm kind of offended. But the part of it, Nebraska tried to get the Southern Miss game was going to go like to the Superdome, and then it was going to go to Arrowhead. And then I think Nebraska just bought out the contract, the last year of the contract that was supposed to be a game, I think in Hattiesburg, and just made it a home game. So, I mean, I think Nebraska's open to some neutral site games, but if they can turn it into a home game nowadays with the finances, I think you will. But would it surprise you if the Chiefs got really excited about doing this? And remember, one of the sponsors is a Nebraska-based company in Battle. Mm-hmm. I mean, every 5 years, Nebraska plays at Arrowhead. Would that surprise you guys?
Be all right with me. I mean, the way things are shifting with these new data points for the selection committee and the SEC going to 9 conference games and having a non-conference game mandatory against a Power 4, you're going to have to follow suit with the Big Ten. You've already had 9 conference games, but you're going to have to amp up conference-wide what you do in the non-conference to keep pace with the SEC.
Can Nebraska get that Tennessee game back now? Can they go back and say, hey, we actually kind of need that Power 4.
Bristol.
But see, that would be a
can't
game.
give up a home game though to do that. Yeah. They cannot, just for the same reason as mentioned earlier. And you said with the Stillwater folks. I mean, it's way too important to a local economy that Nebraska can't afford to give up a home game to go play in Jerry World when they could play in Lincoln.
Well, and I think Nebraska will stand on that principle. We'll play assure it's your home game, move it to Jerry World.
Especially if you're going to spend $500 million or more, creating the Memorial Stadium Entertainment District in a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. So, well, let's dive in and let you know that you can subscribe and find us 7 days a week with the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube. Like and subscribe there, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. On the podcast format, AJ Sports Radio, AJ Sports Pod on Twitter. Crecky checks in, says Avery Johnson's dad having to put out an apology for fighting his son is all-time hilarious. Never take the Dublin game. It always delivers mayhem. Crecky, you are 1,000% right.
Hey, so can I ask one question to the panel here about, and I like Chris Kleiman. Dylan Edwards going down right away in that game before he had a chance to snap the ball offensively really hurt them. And the conditions weren't great. Their defense was gassed. Mm-hmm. Your guys' thoughts on what he did, 4th and 1 at his own 30. Were you okay with the decision to go for it, but were not happy with the play call?
I like the decision to go. I mean, it was absolutely a risk. Play call, though, I mean, that was a difference in the ball game. I mean, look at Iowa State's 4th and short play call. Yeah. I mean, just perfect timing. They threw it, but they flipped it to the back out of the backfield in a really well-timed little lob play, and K-State got it going. It was maybe I think he probably regrets the play call. Unless he felt that's what we do best. The conditions really marred things. I mean, look at how turnover fested it was. I mean, how many fumbles did you have in the red zone for each team, or turnovers as you're knocking on the door to at least get 3 points, let alone a touchdown? I mean, each team had what, a total of 4, 2 each. Does that sound right? I mean, so play call was the issue. I don't mind going with your gut in that moment, though, as a coach.
Yeah, I don't either. I liked what Campbell said after the game. I gave Beck two plays. I mean, the trust in a veteran quarterback like that to say, here are the two calls, you make it. That to me said everything about where that team is. Yeah, I don't mind K-State going for it, but did they trust Avery Johnson to make that play? Or I don't know, but I liked what Campbell said. Here's your 2 options. Go do what you think is best. Mm-hmm. That's the luxury. And Avery Johnson's a veteran quarterback,
Mhm.
but Beck made the play.
Yeah.
So let's put this under the microscope of, because Rule said this the other day. There are a lot of eyeballs from coaches that are watching that game yesterday. Everybody knows what week one, there's the unexpected. So from the Nebraska microscope of getting ready for your first game, and you just watched two Power 4 teams play their first game, what do you think Nebraska's takeaways are because they start their prep week today, they practice today. What do you think they mention about that game that pertains to their own team?
Turnovers and tackling. Same thing he mentioned in his press conference, because it was a killer for you yesterday for Kansas State. And Iowa State had some missed assignments as well, especially that 65-yarder that brought it back within a 3-point game. But I don't know. I pray weather looks incredible for Arrowhead, so it isn't going to be a wet track. We don't believe Thursday night, but that was a nightmare for both teams trying to get their footing, let alone hold on to the football or just make the routine. They were all on ice skates. So, but it is going to be ball security. It is going to be live action. Nebraska's tried to be as live as often as possible and prep the team to be able to withstand or deliver a hit to jar a football. So it is going to be those turnovers, man. And I mean, what Rule said was absolutely spot on about the difference in your week one ball games.
Hey, I know that the Iowa State game was the JV game to the varsity game, which was Stanford, Hawaii. Did you see the opening kickoff, the first kickoff to Hawaii? Stanford scores, and they kick off to Hawaii. Ball bounces, and the return man calls for a fair catch after the ball bounces. They take over at the 1, drop back first play, get strip sack, and give up a touchdown. I mean, all in the span of like a minute and a half. But knowing what to do on special teams, Mike Eckler, you got hired for a reason. Know where you are on the field. Know what you can do as a return man. And for the love of God and all that is holy, don't call for a fair catch after the ball. That ought to be the first thing in the special teams room. Don't do this. Don't do this. I mean, it's just amazing how one bad thing led to so many other bad things. Now they came back to win the game, but I thought, man, that is the definition of a season opening mistake.
Well, it takes me back to Champaign.
Oh.
Well, as you look back, some of Nebraska's week one failures over the past decade or so, does that not underscore? And I think you can look at the Dublin game, you can look at the Stanford and Hawaii game, the importance of just being a little bit more risk averse in week one than you would in otherwise. Just don't shoot yourself in the foot. Yeah. Don't hand the game away, because there will be mistakes. There will be some sloppy football at times. That's what's going to happen in week one, especially whenever you only have the 8 padded practices. Things aren't going to be what they are in late October and November. Just from a coaching staff point of view, I think you have to sit there and say, all right, in order to win this football game, let's not take unnecessary risks.
Don't assume as the coaches either that, all right, we've been over it 100 times, they've got it. Keep hammering home the routine of here's a situation, here's what we do. Here's a situation, here's what we do. Bore the hell out of them so they can repeat it back to you, and then show it to you when you're going through your walkthroughs. And I think this staff is going to drill down on that. So the routine is not going to turn into disaster.
Yeah, I'm a little stunned here because you brought up Champagne and whatever Cam Taylor-Britt was thinking of all the great that he did at Nebraska.
You just
that one play, you went, what the? But you and I think this is because you guys had George Darlington on the other day, and I think you look at all the games that were played yesterday, and outside of KU, who looked really good, and that stadium looks awesome, by the way. It's like a lot of like the little details. Probably more games are lost than they are won on opening week 0 to week 1. But like the small details, I think you guys can make this public because you were saying this off the air yesterday. What George Darlington on Friday with you and Elijah Schmidt were saying about Archie Wilson. what they're doing with him before he gets to Arrowhead on Thursday night for his first college football game.
George took him, not George, but Nebraska had him down Friday for the preseason game to go check it out. George didn't specify when Nebraska was going down early. He just said that they were going to make sure Archie isn't dropped into college football practice and game being different, environment being different. Nebraska, again, not assuming, they're going to make sure he gets to go see it live and see the pros do it. So he was down there Friday night because KC played their preseason game Friday, didn't they?
Against the Bears.
Yeah, so that's where he was, soaking it all in and watching live football, real football, not on a video or not practicing, but seeing how special teams operated at the NFL level.
Can you guys imagine? And I think I still wonder if he's going to have a transition to a rush happening, just football. Because I think you look at Australian punters, even Taylor had a slow start, like at Iowa, but then he was cruising. I think if, Archie Wilson is along the metrics of Buschini, I think we'd be happy in year number one. But just imagine, everything he's going through, being dropped in a foreign country, all the attention is now on him, that you've never played in a game, like a college football game. Now, thankfully, what they did with him on Friday night, but your first college football game is the actual first game that you ever play in. That's just wild to think about. Like, what's it going to be like when he walks out there for warm-ups? It's just the specialists that go out. Mm-hmm. And there's already, because this is what Nebraskans do, there's already 10 to 15,000 people in the stands to watch warm-ups. You're like, whoa. I mean, that's going to be crazy.
It will be for him. They're going to do everything to try and prepare him for the only thing you can experience real time. But the thing that I think, though, with Archie is, with him playing Australian rules football, he's used to, Bill, you've called those before. I mean,
rugby.
Yeah, right. There's elements of live action, avoiding the hit, don't flubbing, don't drop the ball. He's been an athlete on the field before, just in a different setting with the sport and the rules and all that. But
the question is, how does he respond in front of 70,000 people?
Well,
that's the question. That's the unknown. That's what we're not going to know until at some point, likely during that first half against Cincinnati. Hey, maybe we don't see him at all, but at some point during that first half,
Elijah stay in overs.
There will be a big old cheer from Husker Nation as Archie Wilson takes the field. That's the question to me, because what we've heard from the coaching staff, what I've heard from some folks that go down to practice, is that Archie is living up to the billing of what the coaching staff is saying. He is as incredible as the coaching staff says, but how does he go out and respond whenever there's 70,000 people screaming for you, whenever you haven't been in that kind of moment before?
I wouldn't mind seeing an opposing return man break contain, and to see if he, throws a body block tackle in like they did in Australian rules football, or, Chris Brown and Byron Bennett are always pretty physical, usually getting a 15-yard penalty once a year for being a little too rough. So let's see if he can tackle.
Hey, also,
Archie gets him on the sideline, rips his helmet off, and throws it to him.
And the next thing you know,
15 on me.
Next thing you know, Monday morning he has a black shirt in his locker. Hey, but here's like the weird thing. Like, also think about this, like going through your head. Let's say Nebraska goes 3-and-out, and all of a sudden there's a buzz in the stadium. You go 3-and-out on offense, people are like, oh, geez. But people are like, oh, here we go. We got Archie. And you're like, what's going on?
I've said it before. Usually 4th and 1, folks are going to be like, why? Keep the offense out there. The first 4th and 1, Husker fans see on Thursday night, they'll say, send the punter out. Get him out. Go.
Well, Nebraska's done a nice job of setting up for the punt the last 20 years, so I think we might have an opportunity to see him once or twice anyway.
Here's the conversation. Eck goes to Rule. Coach, I know you love our kicker. We do too, but why are we punting on the 29? Let's go for it, Coach. Guys, what do you think of the captains that dropped last night? And 6 permanent captains: Buford, Dylan, Raiola, Lutoski, Singleton, Sierra Wright, Dane Key.
I mean, it was the folks he has sent out to Big Ten Media Days plus Dane Key and Sierra Wright. So I think that says a little something about who the leaders were through the entire offseason, that 4 of your captains were also the contingent that you sent out to Big Ten Media Days. But no issue. It's an older group. You don't have as many old guys on the team this year, so I think you had fewer options to choose from. Raiola is the one that stands out. Okay, the sophomore quarterback. He has the respect of his teammates to be voted as a captain. That stands out. But everything else, you go, okay, yeah, it's kind of what I expected.
The growing importance of Lutoski with not only his ability but his timeline at Nebraska, and then for the peers to say you're it. He's the voice, right, of that offensive line.
I had 2 takeaways. One, does this just back up the pretty much resounding idea that Dylan didn't get a single number because he has 15 as the brand?
Possibly.
No.
There's different narratives about that whole number deal.
And it probably means, I think it's important if they push Dylan to be a leader that he is a captain, because these were voted on by your teammates. So your teammates aren't going to mess around. They're around you more than anybody else. The other takeaway, guys, if Tommy Hill doesn't get hurt last year, do we talk much about Sierra Wright? If you think about his Nebraska career, he gets an opening when Tommy Hill goes down. He seizes it, becomes one of the better defensive players by the end of the year. You turn around the next year, he's back. He's got a single-digit number, and now he's a captain, and he's considered one of your better players on your roster. That's a nice little. I think Nebraska, and remember, he didn't. He was a midsummer addition, right?
He's a late ad
before last year. Yeah, that's a pretty remarkable story.
Yeah, those are wins he and Key are wins in the transfer portal. That's what you hope you get. If you have leadership like that and the talent, because Sierra Wright was one of Nebraska's better defenders second half of the season, no question about that. But to see Dane Key come in and develop the reputation that he has and the relationship he has with his teammates, and in particular, the quarterback, that's positive. We talked a lot yesterday about, Pritchett. What are you going to get for the money you put in there? And what's he going to be? How much is he going to play on Thursday? How much is he going to play at all? And it's been a topic of conversation really throughout camp. But Sierra Wright has been pretty much a mainstay and a given. And to see him be elected as a captain and Dane Key to come in as quickly as he has, to be a single-digit guy and be elected captain, that's what you want in the transfer portal when you're getting guys who have college football experience, and maybe they're hit not just for the money, but to actually make a difference in the locker room and on the field. So those were 2. The Dane Key thing I thought was kind of eye-opening and in a very positive way to come in and that quickly develop that reputation with your teammates. I also like the fact that they're going to have seasoned captains and not this game-by-game stuff. I think that speaks to leadership as opposed to, well, who hasn't been a captain yet? Okay, here's your ribbon for the year. Now you go out and, put this on the wall and say you were a captain for the Illinois game.
Now, do we think these captains will shake hands before every single game this year with the
Elijah?
Most opponents.
Elijah. Are these okay? So are these guys captains that when they walk out for the toss, and you can only have 4 out there, I think still, that when they look across at the other captains, they're intimidated? Like Lutovsky's a bad man. Yeah. But you want the famous picture of Mark Ingram being a celebrity guy, captain next to Derrick Henry, and you went, whoa. But Derrick Henry walking out for the coin toss, you're like, oh, our day's done.
Mm-hmm. He's the running back.
Who was that guy for Baylor back in the day that had the 12-pack and he was 6'10", just pure muscle? What was his name? It was probably 15 years ago now.
My recollection of Baylor players has been spent.
See, big offensive lineman.
Santana Dotson.
Sean Oakman.
Ooh. Oh, there you go.
Oakman, yeah.
The guy that as a football player was just all right, but as a captain was absolutely intimidating.
Yeah. Hey, good recall on Santana Dotson. Wasn't he part of that Baylor team that played actually, what was it?
Beat Colorado.
Well, wasn't he Grant Taft was the head coach when Baylor, didn't Nebraska open the year
1990
against Baylor? And
Yeah,
Santana Dotson was like the main player on that team. It was like 13-0 the game. Nebraska shut him out.
Well, and Nebraska scored a touchdown with like a minute left to make it 13-0. It was 6 rip for most of it. I've got a picture that I got for graduating high school in my garage, and it's appropriately tilted sideways, and it's been through 50 moves, and it's beat to hell, but I'm still keeping it because my folks got it for me. But it was the old stadium shot renovation with the West Stadium and the South Stadium and the East, and it was called Sunset Stadium. They sold it at the bookstore, and then they put a $14 frame on it and charged $175 for the picture. But needless to say, yeah, that was the Baylor game. That aerial shot was taken. That Baylor team 3 weeks later beat a pretty good Buffs team, because I think they were the one team to beat that Colorado team that tied for the title. But no, Dotson was incredible as a defensive tackle. And then he went on to the NFL. Was he with Chicago? Did that sound right? Does that sound right? I don't know. We will check out a history of Santana Dotson another time. But it was just that's my Baylor go-to. RG3 and Santana Dotson. Come on down. With Dane Key, he is kind of your mile marker for the rest of the receiver room. You've accumulated a lot of talent in the receiver room, and we feel that way the last several years. They've not always lived up to the billing. I think a guy like Dane Key not only sets the pace, but also is that working example of, all right, this is what you need to do every day. And I think even the young guys they have in the receiver room get that. They're internally motivated between Barney and Mills. They're Florida kids that are talented, but they don't really take a day off work-wise. So you need that room because of your offensive coordinator and the wide receiver coach to really be at a high level. I mean, that they demand that for sure, but Dane Key's going to represent that on the field and in that meeting room.
The general theme of the captains, I feel like this year is speak small and carry a big stick. Like none of those guys really are huge talkers. I know Sierra Wright and Dylan Raiola probably have the most media time of the guys that you have up there, but generally with those 6 guys, it's guys that kind of represent, I think, that ethos that Nebraska wants to be, which is we're not going to be big talkers. We're not going to be the guys that get up and rah, it's all about us. They're the guys that go out there and do it on the football field. Like, has anyone even heard Dane Key speak?
Just in front of the podium briefly
last week.
Yeah, he didn't say all that much. It was a pretty short media session. Like that's kind of the theme, I think, for Nebraska's captains, which if that's your theme for the captains, I think that's what you'd like if you're a head football coach to carry down through the team this year, which is guys that they speak through their actions, they speak through the work, they speak with the way they play in between the numbers.
I think that's a great point. Because Lutovsky is one of those guys that, they took him to Vegas, but he isn't going to give you a lot. He just wants to get back to his fellas and play football. I think it might be that's a great point, Elijah, because I think it might be a reflection on the team this year. You know, they've been kind of low key.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's been kind of their coach that has been, the one that's been carrying the banner and putting out stuff. But it's been the players mostly have been pretty quiet. Like they haven't been braggadocious. They've been confident, but not like cocky and D-baggish.
No.
If that makes sense. And then I think that's and again, Elijah, I think that's a great point because I think that's a reflection of like they're guys that are captains. Even Dylan's never going to give you bulletin board material. I don't think any of those guys are going to be like outlandish where they're going to say something that's going to end up, in a weight room in a opposing team you're going to play in 3 weeks.
Kind of speaks to the urgency, doesn't it? I mean, they know, all of them in the locker room know that, all right, it's go time. And it's the same message Rule's been talking about, and go win some ball games. So let the play speak. Let the record reflect. So
let me ask you guys a question about. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say I could do with less TikTok videos, but that's not exactly bulletin board material.
Oh, if you are, by the way, because I think if Nebraska has success, Rule will become one of the more hated coaches in the Big Ten by opposing fan bases. Bro Bible went after Rule, and I don't know if you wake up in the morning when you're doom scrolling and go to Bro Bible, but they were crushing Rule for. You remember when he got on his players for doing TikToks in the facility, and then he comes out with a podcast. So Bro Bible has like this 12 paragraph thing just ripping Rule for being a hypocrite. I'm like, yes, college football is here. Nebraska is back, baby.
Let's dive into that.
But let me on Dylan. So what narrative does Dylan need to change on Thursday night? Because I'm kind of going back to Avery Johnson against Rocco Beck yesterday. Mm-hmm. Two guys that, are two of the better college quarterbacks, but they're playing game one and they had mistakes and the elements and all that kind of stuff. So Sorsby's good quarterback for Cincinnati. I mean, they're not breaking in a new guy. What narrative do you guys think that Dylan has to or can change Thursday night?
Two things. One is, if given the opportunity, can you deliver in the 2-minute drill? Okay. Not just before half, but I'm talking if it gets down to it and it's go time for Nebraska to go put a John Elway drive together and go win the ball game. There were opportunities last year, and not all of the shortcomings were on him. He got the bar tab because a lot of them ended in interceptions. But let's just be honest, didn't have the greatest protection, and your offense is supposed to be different and ready and pretty much built for that this season. They've worked on it enough. So the clutch part of this, go deliver a 2-minute drill, a thrilling victory, a walk-off win with a drive that you engineer. You're making all the right throws, making all the right reads. You're moving the chains. You're ready to go. And then the awareness part, where a couple of times he did take off last year. And this is nitpicky, but it's one thing you want to see different this year than last year, is if you do scramble and you built your body to be able to scramble and be a little quicker on some third down or plays that go off script. When you decide to get down, are you past the first down marker? Those are just two things, because those are just a couple of things you can point out from last year that, as a true freshman, you had an opportunity to show up and deliver on a season ago.
Well, to me, it's the national narrative with Dylan Raiola is he's a wannabe Mahomes. And I don't think those Mahomes comparisons are going to stop. It's just the narrative is already out there. That's not going to stop. You should have to eliminate the wannabe part of it. If you want to go out there and play like Mahomes, go out and play like Mahomes, not an off-brand Mahomes. And don't be Mahomes exactly, but if you want to be that, you better go out there and be a good quarterback. The type of quarterback that makes people go, oh, okay, I can see why the Mahomes comparisons are there. He's kind of playing like him right now. It comes down to me. It's that first step on Thursday night towards shedding the wannabe part of the wannabe Mahomes. Go out there and be the type of quarterback that Mahomes is, which is a quarterback that is efficient, a quarterback that wins games, a quarterback that's fun and exciting to watch.
I think he's got to embrace a little more gritty and a little less pretty. I get that he's the franchise quarterback, and Tom Brady didn't get messed with too much, and Peyton Manning, all that kind of stuff. But there has to be moments throughout the season where he's not just sliding to get a first down. And you don't want to put your body in a reckless abandon, but there's got to be a couple of moments where he delivers something that makes him look more like a football player and not just a franchise quarterback. And I'm not saying that every game he's got it. What was it? Scott Frost and Eric Crouch both had, some runs where they just put a helmet and a shoulder pad into an Iowa defensive back's chest and launched him. You know, I'm not saying that that's the kind of quarterback that he is. Tommy Frazier had some physical runs. Of course, that was in an option offense. Brooke Behringer, you know, when he got his collapsed lung against Wyoming, you know, that was putting his body out there, and he paid the price for it. But there has to be some plays throughout the course of a season where Dylan Raiola looks more like a football player than a highly paid 5-star franchise quarterback who can afford the gold chains and the suits and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that he is adverse to that, but there has to be a play where his teammates go, that's why he's my quarterback. That's why he's a captain, and not just, oh my God, who's the tackle's going to be so he doesn't get touched. You know, he's got to play football, right? And not just be a franchise.
Put it on the line because it's called for. Yeah.
Let your jersey get dirty because you caused it, right? And not because your back's you're getting smoked all the time, right? But you're the one who, you know, laid a lick. You're 230, 40 pounds, somewhere in there. Don't do something stupid.
It's
a quarter, Bill. You want a quarter.
You know, on third down and 3, it's going to be up to you to get 4, right? And that means taking on a linebacker or something, and you get that first down. You know, that will pay huge dividends with his reputation.
It might be a stretch, but think back to that USC game where it's third down, he slides 1 yard short, and then there's a debacle with the punt or go for it and opt, and you end up punting it back to USC after the delay of game call. I'm not going to sit here and say the game has a different result if he lays a shoulder down and picks up a first down, but you at least have another 3 plays to go keep that drive moving. And the hardest first down to pick up on any drive is the first one. That would have been the first down of that drive. So does that change the game? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't want to see Raiola out there lowering shoulders and trying to truck dudes just for the sake of trucking them. If you pick up that first down, get out of bounds or get down. But man, if it's third down, fourth quarter, and you got to lay your shoulder down to get 1 yard, pick up a first down, keep the drive moving, that's the time to pull it out and say, you know, I am an offensive lineman's son. I can lower my shoulder and pick up a couple extra yards. Like he's not a small guy.
Didn't you ask him that question at Big Ten Media Days when we talked to Raiola very briefly, but we had him. But Elijah, didn't you ask him that question? Or, you know, what are some moments from a year ago that you want to learn from? And I think he kind of alluded to, you know, awareness and plays like that.
No. Guys, level of concern with Cincinnati's front seven. We talk about Nebraska's offensive line and what Nebraska's offense may be. You've got the Godfather in the middle, and you got a unique defense that Rule briefly touched on Friday. But do you think the offense has a slow start, or Cincinnati's got a little bit more giddy up than some fans may be anticipating?
To me, it's my concern with Cincinnati doesn't come from the defense. And that's because you look back to last year. I don't think Cincinnati's front seven is better or more talented than Ohio State's. And Nebraska, they were in that football game against Ohio State. I mean, I don't think their front seven's better than what Iowa had last year. And did Nebraska play great offensively in either of those games? No, but I think Nebraska's also stepped up and made improvements in their offensive line. Yeah. Nebraska, they were in both of those games, aside from the one play late in the game against Iowa where you get strip sacked and give the game away. I mean, your offensive line was solid against those front seven. So I'm not concerned like that Cincinnati's front seven is going to be able to take over a game. I mean, it's football. I think they got some dudes in the trenches. I think Nebraska's got some dudes in the trenches. It's going to be a battle, but I'm not concerned to the point where it's like, man, that Cincinnati front seven can wreck Nebraska's game plan. I look at it as it's going to be a battle up there. If I have concerns, it comes from the quarterback and wide receiver position at Cincinnati. Or if those guys get Thorsby, those wide receivers, that's where I start to go, okay, if they go put up 30 plus points on your team, then Cincinnati's defense might be enough to scare you. But the offense of Cincinnati and Nebraska's defense is where I have concern as opposed to Nebraska's offense against Cincinnati.
It's that side of the ball.
Yeah.
See, I think I love Nebraska's 3 interior guys to go Lutovsky, Evans, Spindler. I think that's a great strength. I think Nebraska will be able to run between the tackles. I think this will be a good run blocking unit.
Mhm.
So I think they'll be able to run the football. What'll happen is, it's opening week. There's going to be a chess match. You're going to figure each other out. I would like to see Nebraska do this, and I think with a different mindset with an offensive coordinator. One thing that has really bugged me for a while about, and it's not just a Satterfield thing, is Nebraska doesn't run a lot of pet plays. They don't run things in the first and second quarter to set up later,
Sure.
And we all know that the first 15 plays are scripted, and maybe in this case, Nebraska will be really, really good in the scripted plays, so that's going to lead to a couple of scores, knock on wood. But I would like to see Nebraska try some stuff early, and then even if they go away from it, they come back to it because they saw success in the third and fourth quarter. So you might see some of that stuff in the run game, but man, I think Nebraska will be an effective inside zone run team this year because they have the guys up front to be able to do it. And I think Emmett has gotten better in reading blocks. Okay. Mm-hmm. Instead of just running with your head down, his vision compared to Dowdell is a lot better. I think the recognition out of the running backs will also help the offensive line in moving the pile. So I'm not as concerned. I mean, you hear Rule's comment about Corleone knocked a center out of the game. Hey, Justin Evans, let's see you go. Also, one other thing, and I know this is a little bit different from asking about the front seven, but it sticks with that. No concern about Evans at center, right?
I don't think
so. He's just going to step right in and we're not going to miss Ben Scott, because who we don't really talk much about, and we didn't talk a ton about in his career, which is a good thing. Evans gets inserted. Now he's a full-time center. The last time he was there, we had some snapping issues. I liked him better as a guard. It's just kind of like, hey, he's fine. He's a good offensive lineman who'll be able to play center.
I don't think they'd throw him there and make it a work in progress issue if they weren't comfortable. He'd made the jump. He's had camp to go against Nebraska's interior, and from a mentality standpoint, I think he's perfect.
Well, and he started his career. He was recruited as a center, and I would rather he got playing time as a guard, getting experience with Big Ten football, making the move back to center, as opposed to waiting in the wings behind Ben Scott for 2 years. So I feel comfortable with what he has there. Will he be as immediately step in as solid as Ben Scott was? I don't know, but I don't have concerns because he's played so much football, and guard to center it's not that big of a change. Guard to center, you'll be fine. The additional impact is you have to know how to call out and keep your offensive line together in unison. But with as experienced as Nebraska's offensive line is, I think they'll kind of all be guys that step up to the line of scrimmage and see about the same thing out there. So Evans, that's the kind of the concern, the question with him is how does he handle that as like the leader of the offensive line? But I have no concerns with him as a football player, as a blocker, a guy that can hold his own on the inside.
Yeah, when they brought in Scott, they brought in an experienced center who had 2 great seasons because we didn't talk about him that much. So he did his job extremely well. I'm more confident with Nebraska replacing him with a guy like Evans, who has played a lot of football, played multiple positions along the interior offensive line, as opposed to a couple of years ago when Nebraska moved some guy who was a tight end and made him a center, and he had, rainbow snaps in the shotgun. I don't know whatever happened to that guy. He was from a suburb of Fairbury, but when they moved him from tight end to center, there was like a season-long learning process. I think he went on to play football somewhere, but I'm more comfortable with Evans moving from guard to full-time center for that reason. But that experiment took a little bit of time before it started to work out.
I think the people in Beatrice might claim Pickrell as a suburb.
Metropolitan Metroplex.
There's always been a tug of war between Fairbury and the great folks of Beatrice with who gets Pickrell.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Omaha and Gretna, Yeah, I get it, but
no, and I'm not, and I only threw that out there for the conversation about Justin Evans. Again, I think for the first time in a while, Nebraska's interior offensive line is about as good as it's been. Because I think another thing you're going to see, and you got Spindler at one guard, who, Rocco, I know you're an Average Joe Sports Show alum. It's okay to miss a arm day. Okay. Once in a while, just say, you know what? I'm not going to lift a house. Okay. That's okay. I don't know if you saw the team.
Sharpie, if that barn needs moving, though, they're calling Rocco.
I mean, so he must have lathered up yesterday or Friday when they took their team picture. I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, people had to move away from him because his arms are so big. But the other thing I expect to happen, and I think we're going to talk a lot about last year's Wisconsin game when we look at Nebraska, what they want to do offensively this year, is remember something in that Wisconsin game where Emmett had Lutovsky blocking for him when they would pull. I think Nebraska's guards are athletic enough. I think you'll see more pullers. And Lutovsky last year, when they would pull him from the guard spot and he'd get outside, man, that was scary. And he's quicker this year. He's still the same size. He's a little bit, they trimmed him a little bit, but he's still got the same speed. That's scary if you're a DB or a linebacker on the outside and he's coming at you and you got 21 behind him.
Another thing that stood out, because I see the comment from Tiger Shark Diver with Rocco's arms looking like the USS Arizona. Another thing that stands out, Elijah Pritchett's quads they're thicker than his chest. Like you can see why that guy is a former 5-star and why the coaching staff, I still think, has some belief in him. If you get some of those mental errors cleaned up on the field, he looks like a future NFL offensive lineman at tackle, because like the quads like that's hard to build. I don't like
Cranex rubbed off on you because we had calf watch once upon a time.
Omar Manning's calves.
With Omar Manning's calves, Cranex spent 7 minutes on it and even went to the still pick to highlight just the calf work being done.
Mark was he was up in the stands taking pictures of Omar.
I know, he's zooming in like, God, look at those.
Hey, they've got, you like, and then you throw in, oh, by the way, Nebraska has a tackle that's 6'10". I mean, it's a very unique
with that.
You're asking about Nebraska and Cincinnati's front seven. My concern is, what game was it last? I mean, UCLA did it. Was it Northern Iowa that went on like 7-minute drives in the first quarter against Nebraska's defense? And if Cincinnati nitpicks, death by 1,000 paper cuts, and they get the ball first and they take 6, 7, 8 minutes off the clock, that's going to be a huge buzzkill, because there's so much excitement going into the game. And if they get it first and Nebraska's offense doesn't get out there until 7.5, 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, that takes away a ton of the excitement, the momentum, the adrenaline, all that. I think Nebraska, if they get it, they ought to get if they win the toss, ought to get the ball and do something with it. Don't defer to the second half. I think you want that offense on the field to put some points on the board, because if Cincinnati looks at game film of what those, I'm pretty sure maybe it was UTEP, but it was one of those non-conference games against a not Cincinnati opponent. UCLA did the same thing. You can't let them eat up the first quarter and keep Nebraska's offense off the field. So I'm more worried about Nebraska's front seven, allowing them to paper cut this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can we talk about our favorite Barry Jackson Jr. as a Husker, now a Cincinnati Bearcat moment?
Okay. Thank you for that.
I have to go in the vault real quick. It might be in one of my moving boxes.
So he's one of Cincinnati's wide receivers. He was like one of the late additions to Rule's recruiting class, decommitted, and then on the same day committed to Cincinnati. We're coming for you. Okay, pal. All right. You did Nebraska dirty. Okay. I just want to bring that up because I don't know if people know that Barry Jackson Jr. was committed out of the state of Georgia to Nebraska.
Was unaware, but now thank you.
He likes Satterfield better than Rule. Let's
When
discuss.
asked, 1-800 call now. What's your
Great Barry
feel?
Jackson moments in
No,
Husker football history.
I'm just imagining him getting recruited by Satterfield at Nebraska. And he goes, "Wait, you're the wrong Satterfield. That's what I was talking about. That's fine."
That's funny. I want to ask you this. I like your point, Sharpie, about Nebraska's interior run. Okay. And I think that Nebraska will, if something's working, we're going to stick with it versus moving on down to the next section of game plan plays. Stick with what works till they stop it. I think Dana is that type of play caller. Short passing game, right? We've talked about for 2 years perimeter blocking, and you look at Dylan's ability to get the ball out quick in that short space, get some perimeter, and let the yak yards happen. Do you think you'll see the quick game early in Thursday night's ball game? So we know we're going to get crossers. We know that there's the running back on the linebacker / the rail route options, but the quick game is also something that I think Nebraska will probably want to utilize with guys like Barney and Mills.
Yeah, and don't forget about Hunter. The reviews on Hunter during fall camp have been really good. That there have been days where he's been their best wide receiver. They just need to stack days with him. I mean, he's a starter for a reason, but they think he can be much more. I don't know. It kind of depends on. We were having this conversation yesterday, and Elijah brought up a great point about, is Cincinnati going to play zone against Dylan, or are they going to play man? If they're going to play zone, there's a lot of stuff Nebraska can do to nickel and dime them. But I think Nebraska's speed on the outside, if they're better blocking, and that's been a point of emphasis, I think you'll see that. I think you'll see the ball because they've worked with Dylan. Like anytime you've seen either videos or you've seen Nebraska in person, everything is quick. They're like less than 2.5 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. Get to your spot. Get the ball out. And I think you'll see that not just Thursday night, but I think that'll be a staple of Nebraska's offense. The one thing I want to go back to something when I posed the question about a narrative that Dylan could change on Thursday night. If they have wide receivers that are going against man coverage, and we know Nebraska had trouble with their wide receivers against man coverage last year, I would like to see Dylan reward those guys. If they get downfield, you put it right in the pocket. Mm-hmm. That deep ball stuff. We talk about the quick game, and I think Dylan's ability just to play pitch and catch will be successful. But what happens if that wide receiver gets behind the coverage? Can Dylan make that throw? But I think the pitch and catch part of just snap, boom, it's out, I think will be very successful for Nebraska.
How many times did we see the deep ball last year? I mean, I can't
less after the first 3 games.
Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah, I can't think, and I think it's one of the reasons why one of his guys is at Oklahoma State. I don't recall the deep ball. So you're right. That would be one thing that would change the narrative, is that he can hit the long ball, hit the home run, and stretch a defense, which opens it up then for the pitches and catches to be a little bit longer. But I don't recall. I think the last time I saw him throw a deep ball was when we were talking about him coming to Nebraska as a 5-star playing in Buford.
Well, he missed one against Illinois to Lindenmeyer in the end zone, and I felt like after that there was a little less confidence.
But that wasn't really that deep ball in stride hitting the flyer with a 40, 50-yard bomb.
It wasn't a shot to Nair against UTEP.
Right, or Lloyd, streaking, way behind the defense and opening one up for 50, 60 yards. I just don't recall that.
Do you think it helps also? I mean, they have 2 wide receivers who are known for being good 50-50 ball catchers in Mills and Key. Do you guys think that changes a little bit of their approach with where they're throwing the football? How, because Dylan's yards per attempt, air yards last year weren't very high. Like maybe they were 7 yards. Now we don't expect it to jump like the 13 yards, but still that seems like a low number. But I wonder if having 2 guys that have are well known for in high school and in 3 years at Kentucky, making 50-50 plays will help.
Oh, you got to believe part of the reason he didn't go downtown last year, trust evaporated. I mean, there were too many 50-50 red end zone interceptions the guy got stuck with, where the receiver didn't go up and win the battle for the ball on that jump ball, specifically against Illinois, but a couple more later in the year. And even you go back to the Iowa game where you had the perfect play call set up and what? Yeah, ball just flew over my head. Whoops. So, the trust to me, that had to be a major factor of shutting much downfield past 20 yards.
And there were a couple interceptions last year where
wasn't on him.
The wide receiver either should have broken it up or ripped the ball away. It was a 50-50 ball.
No, totally agree with that. Fellas,
quickly here, guys. We should talk about what this offense could be. You guys have a prediction for the first play call Thursday night at Arrowhead?
Love it.
I think you see RPO action. That's what I'm.
I think you're gonna see play action seam to the tight end.
The obvious is some sort of run play, but something tells me Dana is not going to do that. I don't know why. Maybe you have the RPO action.
It's going to be 4 wide, 4 vert. Let's not BS ourselves anymore.
Air raid.
Let me see. Mahomes ran a play Friday night against the Bears where they rolled him out of the pocket and they threw the ball deep.
I don't think they're going deep.
No.
That would be
They want second and 4. So whatever that is.
Let's just you know what? They're going to be like, we brought Rocco here for a reason. The first play, let's run behind the big offensive guard.
You might be right. They might double team the Godfather and try and send a message to Corleone and just put him on his ass and see if they can get 5 up the middle.
I do like that.
Good luck.
Test out the front 7, maybe some sort of tight end insert where you got Lindenmeyer coming through and lead blocking, kicking out a linebacker, that ISO look with the tight end insert. That could be interesting to see. That would make sense too, but something tells me Dana's got something he wants to call first. I don't know.
How about a wide receiver pass?
Punt. Let's get Archie on the field.
No. We're so confident. Nebraska says we're going to send Archie out, and he's just going to boot it on 1st and 10.
We're not going to defer to the second half. We want the ball, and we want a punt.
We all want drug tests right now for uttering that. Forgive me. But, fellas, going to be a good time. Going to be a great time down in Arrowhead. Sharpie, you and your crew going to be down there. We'll be down as well.
By the way, we all of our circle of friends that we interact with, I know that the stadium, can only seat max little under 80,000. Doesn't it seem like everybody you run into is going Thursday night?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be there. Hey, I got to be back at work at 7 a.m. on Friday, but I'm driving down and I'm coming right back after the game. I'm going to stop at the Platte City QT to get some refueling, and boom, I'm going to be home. Oh yeah, I'm going to be there. Seems like everybody you run into this weekend or like this past month, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be at Arrowhead. Are you?
Junior is going down. He's meeting his girlfriend. She's at KU. They're going to the game. He's crashing with us Thursday night. And then he's got to be up about the time I start the KFOR morning show because he's got biology lab for his first bio lab at 10:30. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Can't you talk to the professor, and get Friday declared Nebraska football victory day if it happens?
Well, I mean, the game, it's the first game. No one's complaining, but it is kicking off at 8:00. I mean, this game probably they will not throw it to Sports Center. And by the way, if you are not going to the game and you're going to watch it on TV, Mark Jones will be doing the game. So he'll talk a lot about the following night when Colorado and Georgia Tech are playing.
I was going to say there's no Colorado game that
I
night.
I was just
mean-
saying, yeah, what's Mark doing away from Dion?
I mean, that game isn't going to end till like 11:30.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be
Post
late.
game into the wee hours of the morning, and then we get up and do it again. I love it.
See, Junior needed to be a sports media and communications major because, look, we got classes on Thursday, but not on Friday. And I'm pretty sure Thursday afternoon's class will be shortened just a little bit. So I can get there probably by kickoff. I'm guessing the 2.5 hour trip to Arrowhead
Make sure your
is
phone
gonna
is
take me about
charged
5.
for the pregame edition.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Junior wanted to be financially stable in life. Sports media. So.
Okay, so let's drive down Interstate 29, shall we?
Ooh, how many Husker fans over under 10,000 stopping in Rockport for either weed or fireworks?
The weed part. Now, the thing about that place is they do have a drive-through, so you can order ahead. It says it on their website.
Firework drive-through.
No one gets fireworks anymore. Those. I happen to drive down Interstate 29, and so I look on the right side. Those firework places are like empty nowadays. Yeah. But man, you look on the left side as you're headed towards Kansas City. It's up over the hill. It's out. You got to get off the exit. You got to go across 29, and then you take a right, and it winds there to the dispensary. That parking lot's packed. Lots of Nebraska license plates, but you can, on their website, it said you can order ahead, go through the drive-through. It's around the back, get your goodies, and boom, you're right back on the road. And then you can, as you go, they do have a Waffle House in St. Joe and also in Kansas City. But you also know that probably coming back, that QT, which there's also a Waffle House next to that QT in Platte City, will be overrun. That'll be like a Nebraska post-game pep rally.
Well,
there,
Gary, with that Waffle House, if you time it just right and make sure you have a driver to do this, you can have that gummy hit right whenever you pull into the Waffle House parking lot. If you time it just right.
With a driver, chaser.
With your driver, yes.
Yeah. Driver chaser. Yeah.
Elijah, we need a break update, my friend, so we know that we're traveling in safety and in style.
They are incredibly smooth. It was a pain in the ass for 5 hours yesterday. We had some issues with the back right. The emergency brake was sticking in there and causing us some issues. But once we disassembled the emergency brake and put it back together, everything worked great. So 5 hours, it was annoying and long, but we have the brakes done and we saved a lot of money doing it. So
there's a whole lot of weird Miller's vibes going on here with stops at in Rockport and an RV. Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston, and the Average Joes.
Yes. Well, the Joe Mama RV does not look like a Heisenberg RV. Okay, it's like a Toby Keith RV.
Hey, how many people? Because Nebraska is busing to Kansas City and then they're flying home. How many people are gonna like that'll be a convoy?
Well, it will be.
Yeah.
All we need some CBs and
I mean, it's not like they're gonna stand out driving down 29. I'm sure they'll be all decked out in those Husker buses, and there'll be like 4 or 5 of them. Will they get a police escort the entire way to Kansas City?
State Patrol, that'd be cool. Well, we'll count the Husker flags on the way down Wednesday, and
it's going to take a while to get there on Thursday. That's for sure. And
well,
let me add this for the listeners. I know that there are networks who are carrying the game and radio networks where you can listen, but you can also listen on 90.3 KRNU. Justice Rohde, Schmidt, and Elijah.
Nice.
Your fine producer returns from his summer back home. We'll be calling the game with Brady Alderson. And see, here's the deal. When you have me for your teacher, Brady Alderson, Kansas City kid, Chiefs fan, grows up going to games at Arrowhead Stadium. Opportunity of a lifetime, will be in the booth as well on KRNU. So I just wanted to point that out. So if folks want to listen to 2 fine young announcers, they'll be calling the game.
Hey, I think
Justice Rohde will be back on the Average Joe Sports Show before too long. So looking forward to that as well.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Hey, I think that is pretty cool that KRNU is doing a road game.
We try to sneak in a couple every year, but sometimes like Indiana doesn't let you do it, but that's okay.
That's what we lied to my father and told him we were doing why we wanted to go to South Bend. They said no, Dad.
It's funny how the College of Journalism does road games, but the Husker Athletic Department can't send the Husker Marching Band on road games. What's up with that?
They don't have me.
You want to pick the band fight, Elijah?
I do. No one else wants to step up there. College football is better when the marching
with
band
cant music.
Wow. No, college football is marching band, and it used to be one road game a year the Husker band would go out for. They didn't send him to the bowl game. They're not sending him to a road game this year. I'm pretty sure they didn't send him to a road game last year. I mean,
can I ask this in all honesty? What's the record been recently with the band on the road?
What's been the record on the road?
Well,
great point.
Maybe this is just the twist you need to start winning on the road again.
Well, the radio station that employs me in the road games that we've gone to, that we've done a full blowout with all of our shows, we've never won. So we will be there on Thursday and Friday. So
we can claim at least Iowa City.
Yes. You guys have a victory there.
I was not personally there, though. Personally, in Husker road games, I am 0 for 11. So,
yeah.
But luckily, it's a neutral site game on Thursday.
Since I've started going to road games with Schmidt, I don't think we've seen Nebraska win a game, and I've come down with COVID. So road trips haven't exactly been that great.
Yeah, Bill, I'm going to have to huddle up when we travel together, because the motels I pick look great on the webpage. You get there and it's a hookah bar. Minneapolis.
Ed just emailed me. He said, I travel between Omaha and Kansas City twice a week for business. He goes, for Husker fans that are coming down on Thursday, be careful. It's the end of the month. It is quota time for the Missouri State Patrol.
Good advice.
Yep. All right. Get subscribed to the Average Joe Sports Show. Do so on YouTube. Do so on the podcast platform you pick: Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Find on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio, AJ Sports Pod. Catch Gary, of course, with Gary and Matt, Monday through Friday, 6 to 10. Catch us with the Average Joe Sports Show on the Average Joe Network, flagship at KFOR, 4 to 6. We'll talk to you from Arrowhead, the parking lot, the pregame, the Average Joe tailgate on Thursday. Sharpie, you guys will be rocking as well, and post games and all sorts of reaction Friday as we get 2025 kicked off the right way with the Average Joes. Fellas, enjoy your Sunday. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching here with the Average Joe Sports Show.